the meat.
Welcome back from the break. I'm your host, Logan, mostly superheroes. I hope you're enjoying your time with myself, PC Mike, and The Giggler. What you watching was packed today. We had a lot to talk about. There's a lot happening in the superhero live-action world, and we're definitely not complaining. We're having a fun time. Hope you guys are having a fun time, and would love to get you featured on fan mail. Go to mostlysuperheroes.com. Check out the website. Lots of ways to interact with us. And while you're there on the website, check out our brand new library of MCU ratings and reviews at mostlysuperheroes.com/MCU, where all of them are being kept. And we're updating it weekly as we do these. We're using the hashtag MCU Rewatch. And our next movie comes after Avengers Age of Ultron, which we did talk about briefly last week, and we have a review on that one, and before Captain America Civil War, which we'll cover next week. And Marvel in this one proves it once again that even the smallest of superheroes can do just fine at the box office, a movie that turned Paul Rudd into a full-fledged superhero. This is the 2015 action-packed comedy Ant-Man. Before we dive in, we're going to keep the story nice and tight today, talk about some big moments, talk about our favorite parts, and how the movie connects in the MCU. That's what we really like to do with these movies. We're watching the old stuff with the new stuff, helping you connect the dots where it matters most. Before we do that, let's do a gut check roundtable. I watched this thing 45 minutes ago. Before it ended right when we started here. I'm feeling fresh. I hit print. I got my notes here. It's locked and loaded in the brain. Giggler, how about you? When's the last time you saw this thing?
Earlier today. Well, threw that baby on while I was working hard today.
That's right.
And gave it most of my attention.
Sure,
Obviously,
that's fair.
work comes first, always. But
always.
In case my boss listens to this.
That's right. And even if not, you would always say that. I'm like,
because it's true.
Hope he's not watching on YouTube. I'm over here winking at Andy. All right. So you saw it today. How did it feel as it ended? What was your general feeling?
I liked it.
We'll save the rating for the end.
Yeah, I think when I did my rewatch a few months ago, I was crazy to think about that I watched all 23 movies or whatever in anticipation of WandaVision, and that here we are. That's already over. I skipped a few movies in that rewatch. This was one of them, and I not rewatching it today. I was like, you know what? This isn't as bad as I imagined. It's funny. It's got some good action scenes, I think. But it's just kind of weird, I guess.
Okay,
just
that's fair.
The whole premise. But I mean, that's just what I mean. He's an ant. Like the bug stuff is just kind of like weird. Like there's a bug, like a big ass ant at the end that just lives with them.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
So that's all safe for now. We'll get in
the
rest later.
We'll get into it. We'll see how that when we get through it, how we rate at the end. And then PC Mike, I'm just going to tell everybody you didn't see this one.
I have never watched Ant-Man.
Never seen it.
Never have seen this film.
I wish you would have watched it maybe for the podcast you're on.
Where
we have to talk about it.
You know what? Life happens sometimes.
That's
right.
You
know what? Like you, listener, if you haven't watched it, I'm in your shoes. I'm going to learn a little bit today. I like Paul Rudd. He's a Chiefs fan just like me, so we have that in common. But
the only thing that sucks is if you're like Mike, I'm going to give it to you right now. It's a spoiler alert for this movie because we are going to talk about the story as we always do. So Mike will come back around, but I had to give you a little shit. But but I'm with you. Life does happen, and sometimes you can't squeeze a movie in.
I was going to try to watch it today, and laundry called because I checked my underwear drawer and it had to be done.
we talked about storytelling earlier. Let's see how good of a storyteller you are.
Well, I think I'm about to nail it. You just set me up.
I'm sure
you just lofted me a softball. I'm about to hit it out of the park.
Yeah.
I hate softball, by the way. Don't ask me to play in your team. All right, so let's talk about the story. Spoiler alert, PC Mike hasn't seen it, but maybe this will encourage him to put it on as he does like MCU rewatches one day.
I'm just going to close my eyes and let you tell me the story.
Well, you have headphones on. That's perfect. It's like an audiobook. All right, so here we go. Let's get into the story. Full spoiler alert. I'll say just my gut check on this one. I remember seeing this one in theaters. I was a lot like you, Andy. I kind of thought, like, this is kind of weird. I don't know if I'm into this. Looking back at it, it was only because I went into that movie like, this isn't Iron Man, this isn't Thor, this isn't Captain America. Rewatching this today, this movie is fantastic. I had a lot of fun, and I'm excited to talk to our listeners and viewers about it and give you guys a fresh rating. Very quickly, breezing right through this. Big spoiler alert. If you don't want to know what happens in Ant-Man, you're about to find out all of it very quick in a quick synopsis. So, in 1989, we meet Dr. Hank Pym. This is Michael Douglas, who creates a shrinking technology, and he's actually working with, this is pretty cool, Howard Stark, Peggy Carter, and I think his name is Mitchell Carlson, who ends up being like a Hydra guy. But Peggy Carter's in this movie, like in the 80s, and Tony Stark's dad. And Pym decides that this tech is too dangerous. People can't have it, and decides to stop making the stuff and pretty much puts it in hiding until 30 years later, his apprentice and all-around douchebag, Darren Cross, the bad guy of the film, has successfully made it again. Pym decides he has to stop this Darren dude, from using this tech for evil. How's he going to do this? Meet Scott Lang, a.k.a. Paul Rudd. He's a cat burglar living in the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He's also a dad. He was just released from prison. He's out here doing his best. He's like, I can't get in trouble, so he's trying to just be a good father. Gets down on his luck, gets fired from a Baskin-Robbins, has to go take the first job that he hears about. That here's like, it sounds like it's just too easy. It's like bust into this old man's house, steal from his safe. Well, it is too good to be true. This is Dr. Pym laying a trap for Scott Lang to steal a suit. Turns out this suit can shrink. It has the Pym particles that we learned about in the beginning of the movie. And the whole plan is for Dr. Pym to use his shrinking suit to steal the formula from none other than Darren Cross, a.k.a. Yellow Jacket, in this movie, played by Corey Stoll, who you might recognize from House of Cards.
Oh, yeah.
He was one of those politicians, and I won't say, if you haven't seen House of Cards, there's something big happens to his character. I'll say that. Scott Lang does become Ant-Man in the end. He steals Avenger tech from campus and has a fight against Falcon, Anthony Mackie, in this movie. And with the help of Hope, played by Evangeline Lilly, which I, of course, know from Lost. She's fantastic in this movie, plays Pym's daughter. And his friend Lewis, played by Michael Pena, who is, I don't know if that's how you say his name, but he's Scott's best friend in this movie. And he's always given the funny flashbacks. Hilarious, so much fun. Ant-Man, or Scott, does kill Yellow Jacket. He travels to and from the quantum realm, and even wins the respect of his daughter, his ex-wife, and his ex-wife's new husband. The credits roll, and that's the story of Ant-Man.
Cinematic masterpiece.
Hal, that was like 3 minutes.
That was great.
That was pretty good, huh?
Saved me 2 hours.
and now if you're like Mike and you never wanted to see it, you've heard about it. The credits roll. I had so much fun. It was really good. Let's just hit the end credit scenes real quick, and then we'll top moments, connections, and a rating. First end credit scene is the Wasp, Evangeline Lilly, getting her outfit, teasing out the next movie. Ant-Man and the Wasp. Very clearly titled. And then the end credit scene number 2. Did you watch this today?
Yes.
This was so cool. This really dropped me back into theaters. It's Cap and Falcon coming off the events of Age of Ultron, and we know the next movie, which was being promoted at the time, was Captain America: Civil War. And you get Cap and Falcon with Bucky like locked down, and Sam says, like, I know a guy to like help them in this situation. He's teasing out the events of Captain America: Civil War, and this was crazy because that was like the first time they had ever like taken just a scene from the movie, and that's a scene right out of Civil War, and put it into an end credit scene. So they basically just gave you like a preview of the next film.
So he's talking about Ant-Man when he says he knows a guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because he goes, we need some help. He's like, Tony probably won't believe us because of the Sokovia Accords, which we haven't even learned about yet.
Yeah. So
you're like, oh shit, that's crazy. What's that? And then he says, we might need some help. And Anthony Mackie, the Falcon, says, I know a guy.
Okay.
All right, so that's the movie. Let's talk about favorite moments, biggest connections. I've already talked about some of these. Lewis's flashbacks are just so great. And his voice over all the characters that are in his stories. You get Sam looking for Scott. Actually, at the end of this movie, he's like asking people about it.
Yeah. That was during one of his flashbacks.
Yes.
That was my favorite. One of my favorite parts of the movie, for sure.
So good. That's also where the Stan Lee cameo lives, is in that flashback. He's a bartender. Right?
Yep.
Why Anthony Mackie's looking for him. So there you go. You already got an Anthony Mackie appearance in this. This is after Age of Ultron, whenever he's training with Captain America at the new Avengers campus, and that's where Scott like goes to break in and steal that tech.
Yeah. Call him Anthony Mackie.
Oh, that was good.
That's very good.
That was really good because that's what Scott Lang calls his ant friend in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Is Anthony.
Rest in peace.
R.I.P.
That was sad.
For
That
sure.
was so sad.
Like you name an ant and then kill him. I mean, I know there's like
He
billions.
didn't kill him. It was he got shot
Well,
from
yeah.
out from underneath.
No, I mean I just mean like the creator of the movie.
Oh,
like,
you meant the writers.
yeah, like they. Yeah, Ant-Man's just an ant killer. No, I mean, yeah, he got shot down by Cross, right?
Mm-hmm.
We were like flying. They were flying at the helicopter. Yeah, that was like that's sad.
It
Like,
was
I know
sad.
there's billions of ants like in the world.
Right.
They're everywhere.
Right, but it was really sad. It was like, but it gave Scott that extra push to be like, I got to really get these guys now.
Yeah.
There's a call out to Avengers: Age of Ultron in this movie. Pym actually calls out the Avengers for dropping a city on the world. They're talking about Sokovia falling from the sky in the last movie we saw. So this is again foreshadowing for what you see coming up in Captain America: Civil War. And one of my favorite parts is absolutely Scott's like first time as Ant-Man when he's in the bathtub, shrinks down, goes in the sink, falls through levels of the city, like into a party. And like there's music and he's trying not to get stepped on. Also like just the big fight scene with him and Yellow Jacket in the suitcase. And the Yellow Jacket guy goes, I will destroy you or something like that. And the phone in the briefcase, Siri like activated and it says like playing Disturbed or something
Yeah.
by The Cure. It's a song by The Cure.
Yep.
Forgot what it was called. Ant-Man vs. Falcon was a great fight. Andy, anything else you saw today whenever you were watching?
I like the opening scene where they have like the de-aging of Michael Douglas and he's talking to Howard Stark and that's Peggy Carter, right?
That's what I was saying.
I was
Yeah,
like, that's
absolutely
wild. Like that was pretty cool.
just like aged her a little bit. Like so it's like 1989, so she's like middle of the road. Peggy Carter.
We've seen her it's like so many different times, so it's kind of like confusing, but
Yeah.
I get it.
in the beginning of an Ant-Man movie.
Yeah. So that was pretty cool. What else we got? I guess the main battle scene that was taking place in Cassie Lang's room
Oh yeah.
with like the Thomas the Train Engine.
yes.
And like it's just funny how they do the cut scenes of like the action where you see them fighting on like in this child's room like as small bugs shooting lasers at each other, all this stuff, and then you see it from like her perspective and she just sees like the little train moving and like
the epic music.
lasers flying out of it. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay,
The epic music like stops and she's just sitting on her bed and the little train just like goes like
yeah.
but to them it was like pow, pow.
Yeah.
I like the quantum realm in this. I called this when the movie ended. I was like, that's going to be a big thing against Thanos. I didn't know how.
Yeah.
I didn't know, but I was like, that's going to play a role, and we won't get into it, but it does.
It did.
A big part. But you haven't seen this movie.
I know about the quantum realm.
Have you seen Ant-Man and the Wasp?
No.
This
Is
guy.
that better?
He's an anti-man over here.
Well, we're going to...
Anti-Ant-Man.
You know what we're going to do is we're going to have to give you homework to where you go watch this and you come back and give us a rating. But you're right. You've heard the recap here. I'm sorry. I'll stop giving you shit.
Is it better than Ant-Man and the Wasp? Is this better than Ant-Man and the Wasp?
They're like the same. They're like on the same level to me. They're both
I would agree.
equally as good.
They're
Which,
both equally fine.
speaking of which, let's go and rate this thing. Giggler, was there any other top moments, parts, anything else you want to highlight? But yeah, let's give you a rating. You just saw it today. This is perfect.
That's about everything. I mean, there's just the action is just a little bit different. Like just big things. And then throwing the little disc. I want one of those little discs.
Yeah,
that he
like
just
when they
throws
blow
the
up
stuff to shrinks them and
The tank.
yeah, like
tank
it just
blows up.
like big things coming out of nowhere and like effing everything up. It's great entertainment. I agree, and it's funny. Like I've been a huge Paul Rudd fan since Friends.
Oh yeah, for
Great.
sure.
And like he never ages. It's insane. I see that in like memes and stuff, but like it's actually true. Like how does he do this?
He looks the same always.
Yeah. I need to get whatever he's on.
All right.
Yeah, that's that. I don't know. That's about it.
Well, you got to rate it. I know you don't want to because I feel like it's not one of your favorites. That's all right. You can give it an honest
It's okay.
rating.
Well,
Always.
I mean, here's the thing. I'll rewatch it at any time, so it's got to be above 3
I think so.
I just put it down on my phone. I'm starting to track my ratings now, so I could do better
God,
comparison.
we need to.
I told you it's on my list, but like I'd love some help if somebody wants to go back and watch
Spreadsheet
them
it.
all. This is where we need like a real
Here,
intern to just.
Let's divide it up into.
I'll
movies.
do it. You're
No,
pushing.
no.
It's good. We're talking about it on air. People need to know. Like we need to have we got to start building our database. Like we've got them like living on the library now, but now we need like a database of like, well, how do all these scores live? And like we've done the ratings. We need to start doing the rankings. So like where there's like a living and breathing scale of movies.
That's what I mean. I don't want to give a rating that's better than a movie, but the one I actually would rank it differently. If that makes any sense.
It
Yeah,
does.
that does.
I hear
Right
what you're
now,
saying.
I might spit out a number, but then be like, oh, I can't change the ones that I've already done. So you kind of got to.
In my book, it's our podcast. We make our own
Oh,
rules.
you are totally right too. All right.
Or you just give it like a new rating, and like we just like track how the rating changes.
That rating didn't happen.
we just Snyder cut this thing.
Yeah. Took
We just-
4 years, but we're back.
We just do it over. Yeah, I'm like, oh, I change it. Like you can't do that. Well, I can.
Just did.
Just did. It's a 4 now.
Hey Logan, on the YouTube, can you like blur out my mustache too, like they do in the Snyder cut?
You just got that big, thick chin and face. All right. Well, let's hear
I
it.
got it. I just wrote it down earlier. So 3.1.
So it did break 3.
Before today, it probably was a 2.9.
Yeah.
But given this rewatch and how much I enjoyed it more than I think the past, like I probably had only seen this movie twice prior. Like all the other most of the other MCU movies, not very, like not even close. I've probably seen all of them over in double digits. So
Do you think me talking about this movie and like pumping it up though, did it make your rating go up?
it could have
Because like maybe
subconsciously.
I don't
maybe.
know. Is
You're a
that?
fan of the moment.
I mean, should we start doing ratings first? Like, oh my gosh, no! You gotta talk
No.
about it.
I
You
think
gotta
I wrote-
talk about it, and then you rate it.
I wrote my rating down before you started talking. I think.
Really? See,
So-
that's the move. You write
Yeah.
it down at home and you bring it in.
Yeah.
I like that.
I've not seen this, but just in my mind, Paul Rudd would be bad in prison.
They show him in prison.
He like punches a
He-
guy that's much bigger than him.
It's like a ritual, a goodbye ritual, but like he gets like full on punched in the face.
Again, I haven't seen it.
I know you haven't. It's all right. I'm not gonna make. Trust me, I want to make fun of you more, but it'll be fine. You'll see it one day. All right, there's mine. Thank you, Andy, for your rating and your review. Revisiting this, I was like, this movie's a home run. It was. I was like you in terms of. It underwhelmed me the first time I saw it in theaters. I was like, okay, but I really do believe it was just because I was like pumped for Captain America: Civil War to see like 15 characters come on screen, and it was like, well, this is just Ant-Man. Well, revisiting it, it's a home run. I think it accomplishes where other studios have failed in the fact that like this is a spinoff of the MCU, but it stands on its own 2 feet. Like this is a story you care about. It has its own stakes. It has its own villains. It has its own world that you care about, and then it has the Avengers and the MCU to like lean on, but it doesn't. I feel like it doesn't lean on it too heavily. There's only like the Falcon fight, right? And then there's like the end credit scene, which is like that's a big payoff for like the MCU fan that was like waiting for that end credit scene. Was like, all right, here's Civil War. But other than that, the movie stands on its own 2 feet. Thought it pretty good, and it's action packed. It's an amazing story. I thought it was like Honey Shrunk the Kids on steroids.
That's a great analogy.
Like just like Banana Land, Honey I Shrunk the Kids. Like imagine all the things they did, but like it looks really amazing.
Yeah, because when you were talking Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, I was thinking about the ant scene. In
Yeah.
Honey, I
Yeah,
Shrunk the
these
Kids.
and they have like what, like 2 or 3 ants in that movie because like they made the props and it was probably a big amount of work. With the technology nowadays, like Scott Lang is Ant-Man. Like he's in a bathtub running from water, and I'm like, this is terrifying. I'll watch it forever. It'll be one I revisit quite a bit, and I'm actually really excited to see Ant-Man and the Wasp now. I gave it a 3.4.
Whoa.
Very nice.
I surprised myself. I never know how it's gonna feel. I went into Iron Man 3 thinking it was gonna be awesome.
I think it's
True.
another reason also like the villain, he's very hateable. Like I think
He
he
is.
plays a villain in like most things.
He's
that
a great
in.
actor.
He
Like,
is.
yeah, that guy.
He just
Everything
comes
he's in, he
off.
does
He
well.
just comes off evil,
yeah. So maybe it's like the baldness. I don't know.
and
It's
he's
like
just
that shiny ass head he's got.
You said it. He's a good actor. The part where he comes in and he was gonna kill Hank Pym at his house. He has like the black gloves on, and later in the movie he's like, "I came there to kill you," and I was like, "God, this gets dark a little bit."
Yeah.
All right, PC Mike, will you watch this movie now that you heard me and Andy nerd out about it? And it's not like will you better. I mean like genuinely, will you watch it?
I think so.
Okay. All right, that's fair. Maybe it's gonna have to be on TV or something.
Yeah, I'm not going to give a percentage or
Just-
anything, but
You're not gonna go to
your own what you watch in some week. There you go.
Yeah, you
Yeah.
should come in with something.
yeah. Have you guys ever heard of this movie called
The Wire.
Ant Dash Man?
He's like, what about The Wire season 3? All right, cool. Well, we hope you enjoyed our recap and rating of Ant-Man. Go check it out with the rest of our titles we've covered on our MCU library, mostlysuperheroes.com/MCU. Plenty more coming. Watching the old stuff with the new stuff, and the new stuff that's coming up this week is Falcon and Winter Soldier. So with that, let's go ahead and just get into what's coming up on the show.